So it's a case of good news, bad news today. First things first, the good news. And that is I've finally finished my very first Arduino related project. I've never used an Arduino or a microcontroller before to build anything, but here we are. My quiz button system is all plugged in, it's working, and it means that when I press this, and his name is John C. Sound happens, and I'm so pleased with the outcome. The bad news is this took me far too long just to get to this stage. There's still some work to be done, but I made so many little mistakes that probably could have been avoided if I actually spent some time going over a few things and not guessing myself. But anyway, let's have a look at the project and let's cover the things where I came a little bit unstuck. So hopefully if you're about to wrestle with your first Arduino related project, you don't hit the same stumbling blocks that I do. Afternoon YouTube, Al here from One Man Many Plans and of course the blog of the same name, onemanmanyplans.com.au, and welcome to take 2 of this particular video because I actually recorded up a whole heap of this video before but forgot to turn my lapel microphone on. Rookie mistake. I mean, I know I've only had it for a month and a bit, but seriously, make sure all your equipment is working. And that's actually one of the things that I'm going to be covering into today because as I mentioned at the start, it's a quiz button system that I have built. It's not my plans that I've been working on. I can't say that I've created this from scratch. I will credit the amazing creator of this in just a sec. But the whole idea is that I needed a quiz button system for quiz nights and some charity fundraising that I'm doing for Stars of the Border. And I thought, surely it can't be that hard to whip up something in the shed. And I scoured the internet for some plans. I found the perfect one and got into it. The problem is it's taken me far too long with too many hiccups that could be avoided. But we'll get to that in a sec. Firstly, let's have a look at how this works. Now, the project that you see here is actually by a creator of the name Alistair Atchison. He creates lots of amazing projects using microcontrollers and Arduinos and software and speakers and bits and pieces. Definitely give him a follow. I've linked this particular project down below, but it is a 4-player quiz button system. There's the 4 players, obviously. There's the guts of the project. It revolves around a programmable Arduino Nano, which I didn't realize. I know it's Nano, that's the name, but I didn't realize how small these things actually are until I took it out of the package and went, that is tiny. That is bolted into a screw shield, which made things so much easier. And I kind of wish I had that at the start, but I'll cover that in a sec. That is getting routed to this particular MP3 playing chip. It's a DY-HV20T, ready to go. That is going through to a Bluetooth speaker that I picked up through Kmart. It's just an Enco bamboo speaker. I'm not using Bluetooth. I'm using AUX mode on this one. And I'll explain, it works well, but I'll explain a little bit of a drawback with that in just a sec. Button's ready to go. You've also got a yes/no button, so for correct answers and incorrect answers. So if it's correct, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And if it's not, say someone buzzes in, and his name is John C. No, that's wrong. No. Chuck D says no. The great thing about this, and I love this from Alistair's work, is that when someone buzzes in and they get it wrong, then they're locked out. Can't do anything. But the second player can go, oh, I know the answer to that, is it? The music plays, and yes, that is correct. I love it. Once you hit the correct button, everything resets, ready to go. You're ready for the next question or the next round. Now, with the, excuse me if I don't have the terminology correct with this one, when it's plugged into Arduino IDE, it actually keeps track of scores as well. So my plan on using this is to plug it into a laptop because it's actually powered by USB, which is going through a long extender and going out to the wall with a Samsung dedicated plug, 5 volts coming through there. So my idea is to finish this off, tidy it up, pop the lid back on it, paint it up. You've got this for yes, no, you've got this for the main guts, you've got the 4 parts, and it all plugs into a laptop, and off we go. Oh, and the speakers as well. So that's the whole idea of this. And the reason why I've decided to do this is because I've been running some quiz nights before. They're always fun, but what a fun extra element it would be to have buzzers to buzz in for people to go, oh my God, you beat me to the punch, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was the emphasis of this project. It is working, it's fantastic, but now that we've seen the success story, let's get into the hiccups of what went wrong. Now, my first tip, if you're just about to embark on a big electrical journey like this one, a project involving an Arduino, and it's your first, if I can just leave you with one tip, it's this: please read all the source material. If you're not reading, you're watching, watch all of the source material, because I have to admit, I skimmed through a lot of Alistair's video because I thought it can't be that hard to plug and play and get this thing up and running. I'll do it in a couple of days tops, and I missed so much. First and foremost, it took me quite some time to realize that in my head, I had it completely wrong. I thought when you powered up, these things wouldn't light up, and it was a case of pressing the button and then they would light up. No, what it is when the power goes through the Arduino, they all light up. When you press the button, this stays lit. The rest of them are locked out. It wasn't until I watched him play with it again that I just went, oh, hang on, wait a minute. I missed that from the start. I was just impatient. The second thing that I missed was that I thought, you know what would be really, really good with this? A working diagram of, wiring schematic, where everything goes. And he provides one. And he says at the start, it is in the files on GitHub. And there's the link in his video. And I missed that bit completely. So while I got the code for the Arduino Nano and the MP3 chip and everything else, I missed the fact that the schematics were there. I was working on just looking at how he had laid everything out in his video, and I kept going back and forth and this and that and zooming in and thinking, okay, I think it's there, I think it's there. What did he do here? And I missed so much by not having those schematics there. And I thought, oh, surely it's there somewhere. And it was. It was there the whole entire time. He's put up the code, he's put up the sound effects, he's put up the plans. I'm not the only one that missed it. In his YouTube comments, there's a few people that said, oh, a pinout would be great or schematics would be great. Guys, they're right there. And you'd see that or you'd hear about it if you actually watched the entire video from start to finish, which I finally did after far too long. So yeah, read the source material, watch the source material, go back and read it again, go back and watch it again as many times as you can, because you will miss a few steps if you're trying this on for the very first time. Now, this tip is more helpful than vital, but if you've got everything you need to build this on hand first, it saves a lot of time and frustration when you get to a point where you go, right, I've finished this, now I'm going to move on to that. Oh, wait, I've got to go out and I've got to buy some more stuff. What do I need? More wires. I've got to get some more solder. I'm going to need some more spade connectors. All of those things. If you've got them on hand, or at least a small supply to tide you through until you need to get more down the track, so be it. The more bits and pieces on hand, though, when you've got it, the faster you can complete this project, but don't rush it. The screw shield, great suggestion by Alistair. You can buy one that actually is custom built for the Nano, and that's what I got. I think it was like $12 to $16. I can't remember exactly at JCar. One of the best things ever, because I was running this into a breadboard and there was wires going everywhere and wires were falling out when I moved things around. So having something that you can actually screw your wires into and a really strong connection makes all the difference. So I kind of wish that I bought the screw shield from the start. The spade connectors are another one, because these particular arcade buttons, which I bought from AliExpress back in the day, they all originally came with spade connectors, and they've got the provision to for a spade connector to clip onto them naturally. So why wouldn't you use them? I was soldering it on, things were not working properly, I was running out of solder, those kinds of things. And then I went, you know what, just buy another pack of spade connectors, crimp them on properly. They're not about to fall off anytime soon. Job's done. I just wish I'd thought of that at the start. So maybe give yourself some time, go over the plan and go, what do I actually need here? He's got an equipment list, but with any Arduino project or with any electrics project, the more you have on hand, the merrier. Yeah, this was a big one for me, reading the code, because until I read the code, until I dived in deep and had a look where he placed every wire and he placed every connection, I had it in my head, I knew where they would go. On the Arduino Nano and on the MP3 chip, both have outlets for RX and TX. And naturally, I thought you bridge RX to RX and TX to TX. Not in this case. In the code, if you dive deep into the Alistair's code, it's like pinout 7 on the Arduino goes to RX, pinout 8 goes to TX. And I didn't pick that up until much later in the piece. So I had it all wired up and nothing was happening. And I went, well, that's great. Maybe my chip's broken, maybe my speaker's broken, maybe I've wired up something completely different. It wasn't until I took the time to backtrack the code and went, okay, LED here in 5, 6, and 4 and 3. That's there, that's there, that's there, that's that. RX to 7. No, wait, RX to 7. Why is RX to 7? Because that's how he built it. That's how he got it working. He knows a lot more about Arduinos than I do. I'm brand new to this and I have barely read on what an Arduino can do. So once I put it to 7 and 8, things started to go into place. So it's always worth going through the code. Now, interestingly, he does this in his video too. He walks you through what the code does, why it does it, why he's put it there, console commands, all of those kinds of things. And it's absolutely brilliant. So even if you're like me, you're still struggling with Arduino IDE and you know, flashing and those kinds of things when it comes to this, and really just diving in the deep end personally, slow it down, have a look. It all makes sense when you break it down. Just give yourself the opportunity to break it down first, because yeah, it cleared up a lot of things. And it pointed out that I had some things in the completely wrong area. And if I hadn't gone back and looked at the code, it would have never sorted itself out. It's not going to magically fix itself. You need to have it properly set up from the start. Otherwise, nothing happens. Another thing I'm going to suggest, apart from just reading the code, is read up on all of the bits of equipment. Now, there aren't too many bits of equipment in this particular project. The Arduino Nano is one, the chip is the other, the controllers, that's the rest of it. Okay, I know the controllers because I've been using them for quite some time. I built an arcade cabinet, I built some lunchbox MAME controllers. They've been fun projects. The MP3 chip was new to me, and it took me quite some time to realize, and a trip back to the instructions to find out that the 5 volts that the Arduino Nano puts out through its 5 volt output is not enough to power this chip. That's it. It runs on 6 to 35 volts, I think, anywhere in between. So suddenly I've just gone, oh no, I have been trying to get sound out of this chip for a couple of weeks and nothing's been happening. Why is it not happening? It's got the power light, it's getting power. What's it doing? It turns out it wasn't getting enough power. I was one single solitary volt away. And once I got a separate supply, a power supply for it, plugged it in and plugged in the speaker, lo and behold, everything's good again. If I read the instructions when I got it, and there's manuals online to find it, the answer would have been right there. You need 6 volts. So, clever me. I had to think about it for a couple of days and went, how am I going to get 6 volts to me? And it was one of those things that the subconscious worked it out late one night. Al, what are you doing? That's 4 AA batteries, 1.5 volts each, 4 times 1.5, 6 volts. I went out, I bought from JCar, I think it cost me like $1.20 or something like that, little 4 battery holder, comes with a couple of wires, in we go, and suddenly everything powers to life. So even though it's a separate power supply, I'm going to make sure I've got plenty of batteries on hand. Again, I kind of wish I knew that from the outset. I saw the chip as part of Alistair's project and went, cool, I bought it without even thinking. There are 5 volt chips, they're not as powerful sound-wise. I'm going to be doing this at public events, those kinds of things, probably a rowdy pub or two if things are going well. The louder the chip, the better for me, the better the speakers, and so on and so forth. So I'm sticking with this one, but now I know it needs a different power supply. So just be aware of that, especially if you're using technology you've never used before, Arduinos or MP3 chips like I have. Now, you might be in a hurry to actually get this done. I've spent too long, it's not making noise, I just want it up and running. I've got this quiz night Thursday, but whatever you do, don't skip on the troubleshooting and the testing aspect of it, because just because it worked when you plug it in the first time, it might not work the next time. Or there might be something that you missed. Maybe it's not working at full capacity or it's making weird noises. Give yourself plenty of time to press those buttons and check those wires and make sure everything's okay, because you may actually miss something. I did miss a couple of things. First and foremost, there's 2 grounds on the chip, on the MP3 chip. And for some stupid reason, I missed the second one. There is a power supply and ground, so positive, negative, going in to power the chip itself. But in terms of button presses and signals going into the chip to play the corresponding file, there's a ground for that too. And I completely missed it. And it wasn't until I went back and I traced every single wire in the pinout and I went, there's an extra black wire. Now, why does my chip not have that? It took me 2 seconds to put it in and that got that up and working again. But I had to go back, had to very carefully make sure every wire, everything was crossed, looked at the code, worked out where everything was going. Is that going to the right output? Is that happening? What's happening when I'm pressing the button? Give yourself some time to actually check. The other problem that I discovered pretty quickly on the piece was the speaker side of things. It's a Bluetooth speaker, AUX powered, so I thought you can plug anything into it. Great, and that's what I've done here. But when I first tried it, no sound was coming out of it until I realized it was handshaking with my phone. So if I played something on my phone, if I was streaming something like a podcast, and I'm a big fan of podcasts, it would go to the speaker, but it naturally blocked out any signals coming from the quiz game unit. So once I turned my phone off Bluetooth mode, lo and behold, it's only got one input coming through, and that's the sound. That's what I wanted. But I didn't realize until I just went, okay, pause, breathe. What's stopping this from playing? Turns out my phone was the culprit. So I am thinking of unscrewing everything in this little unit and disabling the Bluetooth from the inside. But I'm also thinking of Alistair's plan of just making it so much simpler and having a proper speaker wired to everything. But that's, future me problem. Finally, on top of not rushing everything, please take a break. Please drink some water. Please sleep. Because in my excitement, in my rush to get everything running and thinking, I'm just one step away, one fix away from getting this up and running, I'd be working on it, and then I'd be working on it for a couple of hours, and I'd be getting more and more frustrated. On a couple of nights, I'd suddenly go, I've got to be up at 4:30 tomorrow. I've got to go to bed now. And I would jump straight into bed literally seconds after banging away on this project. And as a consequence, in my head, I'm going over plans and possible solutions, this, that, and everything else. And I'd be tossing and turning for a few hours during the night. You'd wake up cranky and you'd want to burn this thing. You really would. Don't do that. If you're going to work on it during the night, give yourself some time before you switch off. Go and watch a movie, go and read a book, go and touch some grass, go and pat the dog, go and hang out with the kids, whatever it is. But just do something that isn't working on the guts of this thing. And literally, there are tiny little letters and my eyesight and all that kind of stuff. So I was really getting into it and really getting wired because of it. So wired that I couldn't actually sleep when it was all said and done. So whatever you do, it's a great project. It's fun to get involved, but don't throw yourself into the point to the cost of your sleep. Otherwise, you won't think it's a fun project at all when you're all said and done. But here we are. We're ready to go. The project is up and running. Just quickly, in case you're wondering what these are, I decided to make this project as cheap as possible, so I've recycled a lot of bits and pieces from here, there, and everywhere else. And this is actually a bit of PVC. It's a 90mm slip coupling from PVC pipe. Spray painted brass. There was some brass paint in the garage here. The top is 3D printed with mixed results. The 3D printers made it a little bit rough, but hey, it's a very, very basic unit, and I built it for strength. Just a top tip, if you are using 3D printed stuff, PETG, when you paint it, don't dry it in the sun, because this one has warped. I just forgot that sunlight and PETG, or PUG, whatever it is, they don't mix. It warps, it molds out of shape. It's really hard. PLA, sorry. Sunlight and PLA don't like each other, and it's you'll never get it back to the original shape. So I've learned that the hard way. But I have designed some tops for this, and hang on, I'll pop this one out for you. So that at any stage, if I want to make any more, I've got the file, and they just slot in there. I have glued the other ones down, and once this is painted, I'll glue this down. But I needed some tops. I just whipped it up in Tinkercad. It took me a while to get the dimensions right and the sizing right, but hey, it's done. So it's made on the cheap. It's working. It's going to be tidied up. It's a fun project. Like I said, definitely if you love this kind of stuff, follow Alistair's channel, because his work is nothing short of extraordinary. And Alistair, thank you so much for this amazing project. If you like what I'm doing on this channel, follow me. I'm hopefully going to get into some more projects later on down the piece, but plenty of adventures in the meantime. Appreciate you checking out my latest work, and good luck in the future. Maybe I'll see you at quiz night.